With free agency about to start, the Pittsburgh Steelers have major area of concerns to address. So, we all know the Pittsburgh Steelers season didn't finish how we all wanted it to finish, meaning that the GMs and the coaches need to get better players and bring in better guys to fulfill the role so the Steelers team can be better overall, meaning that there's some spots that the Steelers need to address. So, before free agency officially begins, I'm going to name my top 5 positions of needs that I feel the Steelers need to look at in free agency. So, let's start off with cornerback position. The Steelers' cornerback position is really low in terms of depth. They don't really have a true lockdown cornerback. Yes, they have Cameron Sutton, but he's not really a true number 1 cornerback. I did a poll on my channel recently to kind of ask your opinion if you believe Cameron Sutton is a true number 1 cornerback in the NFL, and majority voted no. And so I know you guys really feel the same way. So, Cameron Sutton, he's headed to free agency, but also a Keller Witherspoon. He was injured for the Steelers most of the year, and once he went down, the Steelers didn't really have another guy to fulfill his role. The next guy in line was really James Pierre. So the Steelers are really low at depth. Yes, Levi Wallace was kind of a bright spot coming over from Buffalo in the offseason last year, but the Steelers still need a cornerback, a true lockdown cornerback. I'm not going to tell you a guy I know immediately because that's for another video, but I'm just going to address the positions that the Steelers need to get. And cornerback is on the top of my list. Cameron Sutton's headed to free agency. We don't know if he's going to resign. And Keller Witherspoon's probably going to get cut for cap reasons, leaving only Levi Wallace and also James Pierre. They don't really have a third guy if Cameron Sutton leaves. So addressing cornerback in free agency is going to be a big part of the Steelers' offseason plans. Next, I'm going to say is offensive tackle. In specific, left tackle. The Steelers have Dan Moore, but Dan Moore, the last 2 seasons, his first 2 seasons in the league, hasn't been great. The biggest pressures coming off the Steelers' offensive line is coming from the left side, meaning that if Steelers could get better on the left tackle position and kind of get a solid guy, a veteran guy to fulfill the Steelers' offensive left tackle role, that would be huge for the team. That would protect Kenny Pickett's blind spot and give him more time to be upright. So that's a big need that the Steelers have in free agency. Also, my third position would be left guard. Just like I said, the left side of the Steelers' offensive line has not been great. And Kevin Dotson, after a good first year with the team, backing up David Castro, and kind of Steelers fans wanting him to be the guy for the Steelers' offensive line, obviously, right now, he doesn't look like he's going to pan out. He's been dealing with a couple ankle injuries over his career recently, and he's kind of the oldest guy on the offensive line, believe it or not. So, getting a left guard could really help the Steelers' offensive line in general and secure Kenny Pickett's left side as the weakest spot on the offensive line. The third spot that I believe the Pittsburgh Steelers need to address, the fourth spot, would be the inside linebacker position. The inside linebacker position for the Pittsburgh Steelers has been a big area of concern ever since Ryan Shazier went down with his injury many seasons ago. They fulfilled that role with Devin Bush, but he just hasn't worked out since his ACL injury. They brought in Myles Jack, but he didn't really look like a great player to end the season. Their best guy to kind of end the season was really Robert Spillane, and also Mark Robinson, being a rookie. So that doesn't really help the Steelers. Having someone who's not really a zone coverage guy, a man-to-man guy, only having people who can stop the run is a big area of concern. Usually the inside linebacker's position, yes, you want them to stop the run, but you also want them to be able to drop back in zone, kind of man them up on the tight end. But obviously the Steelers can't do that. And also, the Steelers' inside linebacker positions are headed to free agency. Devin Bush, this was his last year with the Steelers, meaning that he's now a free agent. Robert Spillane, he's now a free agent as well. So they now have Myles Jack, Mark Robinson. But the Steelers might decide to cut Myles Jack to save like $8 million to the cap, I believe it is. So the Steelers are really thin. At inside linebacker would only leave Mark Robinson. a rookie headed into a sophomore season. So the Steelers bringing in a veteran, bringing in just someone who could lock it down at the inside linebacker position that could really stop the run but also drop back into zone and man coverage and be solid in his role would be huge for the Pittsburgh Steelers and huge for the Steelers defense line, and kind of have another guy to make tackles outside of the last line of defense in Minkah Fitzpatrick. 2 seasons ago, Minkah Fitzpatrick was the Pittsburgh Steelers' leading tackler on the team, and that should never happen. Your leading tackler should always be your middle linebacker, your inside linebacker. That's the guy who should always lead your team in tackles, because the defensive line is kind of setting up the running back to be tackled by the linebackers. But when the linebackers can't tackle it, the last line of defense should never be your safeties. A thin guy like Minkah Fitzpatrick, someone who's not heavy, you should not have him tackling. Also, he's a free safety, so he's kind of roaming the back of the fields. He should never be your last order to make the tackle. So, those are 4 positions. The 5th position, I believe, is outside linebacker. The Pittsburgh Steelers need to address that. They've been lacking that position for so long. Not necessarily a starter outside linebacker, because we all know they have TJ Watt, Defensive Player of the Year. They have Alex Highsmith, who had his career year, but just having someone behind them, having someone who, just in case if they get injured or just in case if they need a rest, they need someone who could really lock it down, someone who could take care of business if they need a break, and someone who you could rely on to get to the quarterback without just having to send extra blitzes. You don't want to be a high blitz team. You want to be able to get to the quarterback by just the 4 guys on the defensive line alone, or the 3 guys, or 5 guys. Whoever you're rushing, just your base defensive line, you want them to be able to get to your quarterback. But when you take TJ Watt off the field, when you take Alex Highsmith off the field, the Steelers are one of the lowest pressured teams in the whole league, meaning they don't have a backup guy. All their backup guys, as I said, is their practice squad. They just get people from other teams. If someone's cut, they just bring him in. And that's not really a solid way. Like Malik Reed. Malik Reed was brought in from the Denver Broncos for like a 5th-round draft pick last season. And he did absolutely nothing for the team. Getting 1 sack. He was no presence on the field. It seemed like he was playing so much, but did really little to help the team. So, bringing in a backup outside linebacker position would be huge for the Steelers' free agency needs. So, those are 5 positions I believe the Steelers need to look at when it comes to free agency. Those aren't really in order, but if I was to put those in order that I just named, I would probably say it is the cornerback position, then inside linebacker, then left tackle, left guard, and then middle linebacker. Yes, Myles Jack could still be solid. That's why I put that as the last need. But those are my needs for the Pittsburgh Steelers, my top 5 needs heading to free agency. But let me know down in the comments below, what are your top 5 needs? And do you believe my top 5 needs are good as well? Also, if you believe that my top 5 are well, what guys in free agency are you looking at? Are you looking at left tackle like Taylor Lewan? Or are you looking at middle linebacker like Bobby Wagner? Who are you looking at? Let me know down in the comments below. And don't forget to subscribe to the channel down below as well if you like Steelers content and analysis reports. Like the video, turn on post notifications down below for this channel as well, so you get notified whenever I post the next Steelers video. Click the bell down below so you never miss out. And I'll see you guys all later. Till next time, I'm out. Peace.